Hello, Frog Pond family. I thought I'd send out this video to update us all with some new information about FERPA, or what may be some old information for you. There are some resources at the end of the video if you'd like to use them to go ahead and research this on your own, but I thought I'd compile the most important information for us. So here's a look at what we're going to be talking about today. What is FERPA? What data should we be worried about? How can we ensure we're in compliance? There's a short section for teachers, a short section for SROs, and then what happens when FERPA, when we are in violation. So first, let's talk about what is FERPA, or the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, in case you don't know. This was actually passed in 1974. It was intended to give parents and students who are of age the right to decide who can access their PII, or private information. In the digital age, it's become especially important to be aware of the data protected by FERPA. That's why we're seeing some changes in it, because there is so much information out there about children that we need to make sure we are protecting in the right way. So let's start with what data is protected. All PII, or personally identifiable information, is protected under FERPA. We are allowed to release directory information. However, we have to give parents the opportunity to opt out first. Some of the directory information we can include are the name, address, phone number, date of birth, school activities. There's a couple other things on that list that may or may not apply to you. They don't generally apply to us as an elementary school, but if you'd like to look further into it, there can be different definitions for directory information, but those are the basics of it. So information that is not covered under FERPA. Teachers' logs, things that you have written, especially if it's for a substitute, or notes that you have taken on a teacher, any observations that you have made, things that you see are not covered under FERPA. It is what is in a student's record that is covered. FERPA does make an exception on data sharing when it's necessary to protect the health and safety of students. So please keep that in mind. How can we ensure compliance with FERPA? Here's some things that you should really be careful with. Any student records, you want to make sure they're shredded before you're discarding. You want to be very careful on social media. You should never post a student's work, student's name, student's information. And when you walk away from your computer, make sure it is locked. If somebody comes into your room and takes information, that can leave you open to a FERPA violation. Vendors. The school is responsible for ensuring that vendors are compliant with FERPA. That means you need to be careful when registering your students with free websites that are not automatically approved by the Board of Education. Raise awareness and train staff, which is what we're trying to do with this video. And finally, files and emails should be encrypted. That's information that our tech team generally takes care of. Video surveillance. Let's talk a little bit about that. 80% of schools, including ours, use camera surveillance in the halls and other areas. Student images and voices can be protected under FERPA, so we do need to be careful with video surveillance. Some things to keep in mind here. The community should be notified of video surveillance. That would be the explanation for the signs on our doors that you see. Parents can have access to a recording when it is directly related to their child. That's when it is considered FERPA. In hallways and other public areas, there's a low expectation of privacy. In this instance, courts have generally upheld the school's right to search based on something you see on the video surveillance. However, we cannot release the videos to law enforcement without parental consent under FERPA. If it is a video that directly relates to a child, we need to be careful how that video is released. Finally, audio surveillance is very different, generally governed by other laws. And just in general, we should really kind of avoid audio surveillance of students. All right, the Teacher's Guide to FERPA. How does it affect teachers? Well, first of all, it's your job to keep student records secure in your classroom and on your computer. Any student records you have access to, you need to make sure you keep them in a secure place. Be aware of what's considered private information. These could include grades, health records, discipline records, testing, GPA, and attendance. All of that is considered PII. Be aware of and follow all district policies on data destruction. Remember, this applies to electronic and non-electronic. When possible, things should be shredded and totally taken care of so that nobody can access the information. Finally, if you choose to use free internet sites, review their policies. The school is responsible to ensure vendors are FERPA compliant. All right, how about our SRO? How does this affect him? Well, the SRO in our school is governed by the same laws as a school official. He can only disclose PII and health or safety emergencies. One interesting thing, if you have a student or parents who you believe may be in our country illegally, he is not required to report this. And although we can verify that the student lives within the district limits, it is not our job to verify that they are in the country legally, nor is it our job to report them. And especially under FERPA, it may be illegal to do so. So what happens if we do violate FERPA? Currently, a violation does not result in a lawsuit, but instead results in just a complaint being filed. The complaints are considered on a case-by-case basis. If a school is found not in compliance, generally they'll make some recommendations, and when these are not followed, it can result in a loss of federal funds for our school. Here are the references I was speaking of if you'd like more information on FERPA and especially the newest changes to it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you gained some good information from it.